Man, great seeing you always. My brother Matt Baker.
Nice. This is
Bakersfield, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, TRUJITSU.
Yeah. Say that fast, 5 times.
Right?
Yeah. It's so funny. It's like we started TRUJITSU, then they were saying True Jiu-Jitsu for the longest time, and I was like, no, you got it wrong. It's no E, and it's just TRU. Yeah, but time.
So how did that happen? Because you're Bakersfield, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. When you put in Google, right? You search for your gym, and then
okay, so
then I started seeing some years back, maybe 5 years or so or more. I don't know, something like that.
The interesting thing about how TRUJITSU happened, to be honest, is first we were Bakersfield Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and that worked out great. This was early 2000s. But then when the Google thing happened, then we started running into a situation where people were also saying they're Bakersfield Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and that got all messy. I was like, oh my gosh. And, whatever the intentions were, people were calling saying, I just talked to you yesterday. And I'm like, no, you didn't talk to me. Yeah, I called. And then we said, well, how do we fix this? And that's a learning lesson. Like geographically, you can't claim, a city. So like the New York pizza, you'd never be able to say New York pizza, whatever. So it was a lot smaller back then, so there wasn't as many.
The jiu-jitsu community.
Yeah. So then it became that awkward thing. How do we fix this? So then I started using my name because that was like the only way to distinguish it, then it became Matt Baker, BJJ. And then, so now we have 2 names. Then as with anything, you have students that start growing and they start wanting to do their own thing. And then it felt like, well, okay, so how are we going to do this? I didn't, if they move out of Bakersfield, no one wants to claim Bakersfield, right? So, Bakersfield Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Santa Barbara wouldn't work. Bakersfield's a funny town. But then it also felt bad to tell people to use my name. So we hit that discussion like, well, what are we going to call ourselves? What do we do? Because we definitely have people that are growing up and they're graduating and they're going to move on. They're going to do their own thing. So TRUJITSU was, so we had to come up with a name, and then that one fit for what we were trying to do, and there it is. So,
that's cool. It's a cool name. Yeah. TRUJITSU.
Well,
even though you can't say it 5 times really fast, right?
I can't.
You can now?
I can't. I was hoping.
Oh, you still can't?
No, I started slurring after the 4th one.
Yeah. Number 1 IBJJF master in the world, right? You got the title. You were like going everywhere.
I'm paying the price for it now, right? Yeah, I walk like
It's all good. It's worth it.
Yeah. Okay, yes.
I can say it now.
Yeah.
You can say it now.
I take a snapshot of it, and there's a shrine.
Number 1 competitor for what year was that? 2018.
I can't.
One of those before COVID.
I can't remember, but thank you that's nice of you for noticing.
Yeah, man. You worked hard, man.
Yeah.
That's legit. That's a lot of tournaments. That's a lot of points.
A lot of airfare. A lot of
airfare.
Frequent flyer miles.
That's legit.
Like that. So no, it was fun. And
I want to post that picture actually when they gave you the award.
Yeah.
The diploma of that.
Yeah. Well, here's the funny thing. I got that. The thing, and then I kind of said, all right, I'm on my way out, I'm chilling. And then they started making it official where they gave the thing. So by the time my points were faded down to 3. Oh. So, but it's still, I'm happy.
I see
thankful.
That they did it. You made it, right? And then and then they gave you the award like a year later or something.
Yeah, they started doing the official thing, I think, like a year or 2 after, or maybe the following year after. So that's when they gave the actual acknowledgement, and they put it was really nice.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for it. But long story short, it was a fun time of my life to really
that's right.
hit the circuit.
You did it. You went for it.
And there you go. So
you got your family
inspired by you.
You're inspired by you, man.
No, you're a savage. So, you're a savage.
Your family. Like I look at you as a family man. You have all of your family, your wife being a black belt, all your kids training. That's amazing. That's an example. You're a good guy. Like you give back to the community. Especially this last year, it's been crazy, right? With all the stuff we've had to deal with.
Terrible, crazy. I'm glad to see things happening the way they are right now. What's happening, downstairs is amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for for hosting
Of
that
course,
too.
of
Like,
course.
you know, you made a lot of people happy. So you're giving to the community all the time.
We got,
Let's just be real, okay?
Well, yeah,
So,
you know, I want to, you know, for sure, right? But like, you know, we both were in the same line, you know, and I really respect you a lot for who you are, as you know, just how you represent jiu-jitsu, and how you know what you give to the community as well.
Well, thank you, and you know, words from you, I really appreciate. So you've always been ahead of the curve on a lot of things, and yeah, good stuff. So, and didn't your daughter just recently compete? And she won, right?
Yeah, she got a gold medal. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
She did a couple tournaments before COVID, and then after she finally got to compete again. So she's been training the whole time, so it's been nice.
She's gonna take after you.
Yeah,
so,
it's pretty cool. It's you know how it is. It's super proud, you know.
No, it's so cool. And I think one of the things that's really comforting is like when your daughter, you know, is training and then she's doing good.
Yeah.
Kind of sets, you know, I mean, bad things could happen, but you just know it's like, wow, this whole jiu-jitsu thing gives them a sense of defense, but also there's cognitive skills that I just think they get sharper. Like they start to realize, like, you know, that guy.
Confidence, true confidence.
A little bit. That guy's a little kooky. I'm gonna maybe, you know, this isn't who my dad would want me around, type of thing, you know, and you know, I don't know. I think it's just nice. Long story short, it's nice having
you feel protected,
having a daughter, having a daughter that can fight her way out of a lot of things.
We have twin girls, you know, but they both obviously train. But yeah, it for sure as a dad, right? It makes you feel more secure.
So you feel secure when it's your daughter, but then you feel threatened when it's your son. So it's like, good. You know, my son Roman, he's like 6'2" now, and he's like, hey, you gonna come through on this or not? And I'm like,
come through on just whatever $20 promises.
Or is it going to be 30? It's your call. I'll take 20 right now, you know. But if you could give me some, you know, slack, it's going to go up in price. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. He's nice. He doesn't, but he's definitely getting to that point where, you know, he looks like a big dude. So. He looks like a big guy. And
the last time I saw him, he's still kind of little. He was probably like around 11, 12 maybe last time I saw him.
Yeah, I mean.
How old is he now, 15, 16?
He's 17 now, and he probably grew 1.5 feet over. COVID didn't help, man. All the kid did was sleep. No, I'm just kidding. Well, you know, homeschool. Okay, so you're going to take a nap. Yeah, he's taking a nap during class. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. but
man, it's the same thing everywhere. Come on, the Zooms. Come on, man.
Yeah, so
my Wi-Fi doesn't work. Have you seen that South Park pandemic episode?
No, yeah, they're predicting the future all the time, right?
Right,
yeah. Or no, Simpsons are.
Both.
More
Simpsons, yeah.
But I'm here, I'm missing the boat on that. But I'm going to look up the episode.
Google it, yeah.
Okay. All right, yeah. Now, fortunately, the balance is my youngest one, who's also he's getting to be as tall as me soon. So I just see it happening right now. He loves school, so they balance each other out, and fortunately, I think that's the reason why it's okay. But you know, they make a good team. So
nice.
So I think that's what's kept them grounded in each direction. Where you know, in reference to homeschooling, you know, I'm surprised it's actually been going as long as it has, but it is.
Yeah.
Hopefully not much longer.
You know, like for my family, right? It's been nice because they didn't have other activities besides jiu-jitsu. You know, like my daughters, they did like drill team and other things, but now that's all they had. And so it's been a blessing in that way.
Yeah.
I know, like Mara's like, no, there's no blessing in this. I'm like, oh, yes and no.
Yeah, no, I think there's always a silver lining to everything, but I would not want to go back to this. Yeah.
Right.
I hope.
For sure.
To me, this was like a catastrophic, you know, I remember where I was when 9/11, there's, you know, you remember when the space shuttle blew up?
Yeah.
Do you remember where you were when that happened?
No, but I remember 9/11.
Yeah, so I remember when the space shuttle blew up. I remember exactly what happened. We were in class. We walked out, and everybody looked up at the sky and this is, you know, Edison, California. It's a small, you know, if you think Bakersfield's bad, sorry for everyone at Edison, but that little, you know, patch of, that's where I went to elementary school.
Where was Edison?
So Bakersfield, that's about an hour and a half north of where we are from here, right? So if you go there and then you go east in probably like you're going towards Breckenridge.
Okay.
I don't know if it rings a bell. That
East of Bakersfield.
Yeah. So it's a small community there. But where I was at, this is years ago, decades ago, they had us drive there. So, that's where everybody hitched a ride for. So it wasn't that I necessarily lived in Edison, but that's where they had everybody go from that corner of Bakersfield. So that was, one of the main elementary schools. But when that happened, literally, like Mr. Stevens was a teacher and everything, but everything stopped. He just said, hey, something bad just happened. Shuttle just blew up. Oh my goodness! And then the debate came with like, man, because one of the teachers was in that particular shuttle, and they're like, man, would you have gone in blah blah blah, Mr. Stevens? And the answer is yes, everybody would have gone. It was just very unfortunate, but everyone walked out of the classroom and they looked up as if they could see anything, and it was nowhere. It would just kind of stop. So those are moments that you really kind of, they make an imprint on your brain. That was my first one. 9/11, second one. The irony is I was actually at Orangewood, my other school, but that time I was there for an insurance meeting and everything. I was actually presenting insurance when I was doing that particular line of work. And sitting there at the break room and talking to all the teachers, and then right on their TV in the break room it happened. And I go, man, I got to stop going to these schools. Something about the school district, all these bad things happen. And I didn't say that, it was a joke. But those are moments that I would say I'll never forget exactly to the T. And to me, what I think 2020 was those moments, but just throughout like a lot, like spread over like 12 months.
Like one thing after another, right?
Yeah, it was such a long
year. The aliens never came publicly, right? That was like the next thing, right? They had the killer hornets. We had the protests.
It was interesting to see everything get turned upside down, and people, sad to say, I don't want to talk too much about it, but like some people, their perception of things changed. And, and I think everybody's finally, today what I see is a lot of people that I saw arguing at one time on social media. Right. I go, these guys liked each other one time. Now I see them together getting along. And I think maybe we'll all see that we got played at one time, but who knows? But what I know now, and I'm going to shut my mouth on this, is that it's looking good now. And I hope we never have another 2020 because,
it's like, it's a perfect storm, right? We don't see each other, social distancing, right? Mm-hmm. And so all we see is like our social media things and the news, and so your mind goes in that place. And then once you set your belief that you believe in one thing or the other, you're kind of set. It's like a survival mechanism, right? You can't be wrong or else you die, right? If the line right comes after, if your line's in one place, you remember that because so you can't be wrong.
I think one of the smartest things to do now is open your mind, like just because what I really think is important is when people believe a certain thing, that's what they believe. If you think about it, like they're convinced of what they feel because of what they've experienced and what they've seen. So I've decided to I haven't decided. I just think this is just the only way it works is you just have to take a deep breath, step back, and like really have the ability to look at things from their perspective. And because especially when they're people that you have relationships with that you really care about. And, I have one person who I care about deeply, but I will say I still think he is very passionate about a couple things that they aren't in line with, like he probably wouldn't appreciate training, he probably wouldn't endorse that. He wouldn't, and I know as soon as that, so the end of the road is for that particular, conflict is just, be nice, be caring, but never bring it up. Just because I want that person in my life, but at the same time, I don't.
It's about the relationship, right?
Yeah, I don't want to win an argument.
Yeah,
I want to keep someone I care about.
That's it.
Whatever it does.
That's what it comes down to, right?
Exactly.
And that can be for this. It can be for everything.
Because in time will make things better on their own. So quit trying to expedite it.
Yeah, people you love, you care about because they believe something differently than you, or vice versa, right?
Yep. And time has a way of fixing things. So I'm gonna let it do its part. Keep my mouth shut. And Well, unless it's burning my house down immediately, like literally, then I'm like, hey, wait a second.
Yeah.
We need to think this through.
Let it be.
But other than that, it's
no reason to get all uppity up about anything.
It's just not a smart thing either. You know, I mean, you just gotta. That's the character development of 2020. Yeah, there you go.
That's it.
Gotta be cool.
Lesson
like you.
learned, right?
Gotta be cool like you. You've been quiet. You've been chill. So I was like, hey, because
well, man, like I don't want to. There's no side to choose. Like I'm team humanity, right? I just want us to be healthy, be happy. You know, I love jiu-jitsu. I know what it can do for people. So you know, like I don't know, you know, however people feel, like you know, like I don't want to go there. You know, I don't need to choose a side or anything. I'm just team humanity. I love everybody. You know, of my students. You know, no matter how they feel. People, my family, like I just don't, like you were saying, I just don't go there. I just don't talk about it. Doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter.
How'd LA treat you? How'd Los Angeles treat you?
Man, like we got some fines, you know, from LA County and stuff. But, you know, there were, I spoke again from a humanitarian place. Like I care about people's health. I care about people's well-being and their, you know, like mental health, physical health, everything, all the stuff. Right. And so I just spoke from the heart, you know, like, I mean, Amazon went from 1 trillion to 3 trillion in 6 months, like the valuation, right, of the company, right? And so, you know, like, you know, it is what it is, you know. But I all I care about is my community, you know.
Yeah.
And I want them to be healthy, and I'm willing to put everything into it to make that happen, no matter what.
Yeah. Nah. Well, you're
doing. And our business, my business is not on a piece of paper. My business is in the relationships that I have and the reputation. And so it doesn't matter what paper it says, you know, wherever we go, people will go, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, the word, you know, essential, like, that came up a lot. And I'm like, well, you know, it's very interesting because, you know, it's a matter of opinion, but also there's some tangible benefits you see because, I've seen people
Walmart and Target.
What's crazy? Yeah. Well, you know. So how long has Legacy been open? I mean, how many years are you in this game?
I mean, I for New Mexico, I've been around for 21 years. You know.
Yeah. So that
21 years this year. So, but I moved out to LA. My son's 14, so 14 years ago.
Yeah. So
and then I was just fighting, and so 2000. So this gym has been around for 10 years this year.
Have you kept track? Well, I'm sure you have because you're pretty organized. But like, how many people you literally have helped get off of drugs or lose weight or recover their marriage? You know,
that's where I'm coming from. You know, just from the heart. Like, I want to help people. Like, I know what this can do. Not in a pandemic, you know, time, but imagine how much more it is during that kind of time. We had guys that, you know, had tendency to gain weight. Like, man, they gain in the 2 months or whatever at that beginning because they stopped training. Like, they gain all this weight. And if they do get hit by like COVID or something like that, like, man, it's gonna be like can be dangerous.
Well, that
and I'm gonna let that go. I'm gonna be okay with that happening. I don't think so.
Yeah, it's nice to see a student lose 40 pounds and then all of a sudden gain it back. Just
right. Oh, because everybody's like social distancing, watching the news. I mean,
fast food goes up, cortisol goes up, activity goes down, and no sunshine.
Right, no sunshine. I mean, like the parks taped off, the beaches taped off. Like, you know, it's like, is this real?
Well, for those that, like, you know, I mean, someone made a couple of accusations like you're being selfish and you're being. I go, I want to be really clear with you. First of all, there's no winning. There's no winning. There's an argument on either side. So you get people who are mad because we're still closed. You got people who are mad because, you know, they aren't feeling healthy anymore and they're feeling like we're letting them down. So so long story short, you know, you do the math on it and it just was like, well, you know, big arguments I had was I have gained 15 pounds on the average. I probably had 30 people. And I didn't gain weight at that point. I gained a little after. But the whole point I was getting at is that getting back open, too many people I've gained weight. Are we going to start training again? And then pretty soon it got to the
same
point.
Same thing happened here.
Yeah.
We had a fight club at the beginning.
They told me this.
Right.
One of my nicest guys that was like really, really like, he was, this is so funny. He's going to know who he is when I say this. But he came in to visit me when I was cleaning the school because we were doing Zoom training and just like no one's there. And then he came in and then he was on the phone and then his wife had said, "Hey, are you 10 feet away from him?" on speaker. And I was like, so they were really, but what I noticed is down the road, pretty soon it got to the point where like, hey, I don't think this is really helping us out. And I'm concerned about other things now. I need to get active. I need to, I'm starting to lose my my scruples here, and
mental health, cognitive,
just a lot of things. I saw a couple guys start drinking again. One of them relapsed and started doing other things because he was idle, not doing anything, just by himself. Didn't have what we have. Didn't have a wonderful family. He's pretty much in his room by himself, just watching TV. So so there was a relapse, and and long story short, it wasn't a selfish decision to get back rolling. It was like, if I really look at the math, too many people are not doing well, and they're asking. So let's give it a shot, and we'll do things at
do our best,
at everyone's comfort level, And anyways, I think so. Whoever's running a school, if you ever have guilt or you feel like whatever, I think you should know that everybody's pretty much on the same page. I want to say 99% of the people I've talked to, they've been secretly like, "Man, did you have this particular dilemma?" And I go, "Yeah." It's like, you want to do the right thing for your community, and it's just, all it takes is one person to really give you a hard time. I had one student that came in and gave me a hard parent. "Why are you not all wearing masks?" And I go, "Well, because 2 people say they got strep throat from that." And I said, "Okay, we'll give it a shot." And also because one guy, he's having a hard time breathing. So we just said, I think there's a different route on this.
I think at this point, right, it's like, know the risk that you're getting into, and I mean, we're still supposedly a free country, right? It's still America. Well, and so that's your choice. That should be, your choice. And if you have somebody that's at risk, like you just gotta choose, right?
Well, we all know our circumstances. And I think that when you're around people that care about you, they also, they'll be considerate too.
Right.
But
and if you're sick, like, you don't come in.
Yeah.
We had the COVID waivers and all that, but
there's
if you're
hedges.
Right.
That you do before.
Common sense, like, if I don't care if it's a sniffle, like, just don't come in, right? If you have that, especially at that time, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just for the community's sanity.
Right. Of course.
We didn't have one outbreak. Like, we didn't have any issues at all.
Yeah.
So so the cool thing is that it's like, I think when it comes right down to it, you have this is what I tell people. It's like, we're not a public. Well, we're a big family, and nobody wants to make that mistake for the family. So that being the case, everyone has been really, really diligent. So we should never have a repeat of 2020.
Yeah.
Everyone. I think we learned so much from that, and I would hope that everybody will be on board.
Yeah.
For that.
You expanded your Zoom capabilities as well.
I hate Zoom.
I'm never doing this again.
No, I am going
standing in one spot for I don't know how many hours.
Well, okay, so it's always fun when you're trying to get people to chime back and they're just looking at you like, and then I say, "Hey, put your gi on when you do this, because I'm going to call on one of you," and they wouldn't do it. And one guy was in there eating dinner, while we were training. I mean, well, not one guy. A lot of them, like, they're just, so difficult to actually have an energetic,
Imagine the kids at school, right?
Well, you think, yeah. So, no, Jill, never mind. I shouldn't talk about Jill's. Well, she's a teacher, so we get to see. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
And behavioral issues have kind of gone up a little bit, I think, over the last year. We used to have a 5-age requirement, which some people managed to pull it off younger than that, but I think for the setup that we have, 5, but a couple of the guys were like, "Can we bump it to 6 or 7?" Because some of them have, like, I can't get them to sit still. They don't know left from right and all that. So bottom line is, there's a reason why teachers are credentialed. There's a reason why. And when people think, I had this debate before this with one of my old instructors at university. He was all into homeschooling. I go, "Well, can I tell you the truth? I think it's great, but not for everybody, because there's a reason why teachers have credentials, because they can actually teach, but where you have some people, it's just not open up a book and here you go. And, I mean, it takes a dedicated parent.
Yeah.
And I think what we've seen is the proof that not every parent is dedicated. And
takes a dedicated parent to homeschool.
Yep.
That's the bottom line.
Yep. And if they are, it's going to work out great.
Yeah.
If they aren't, then we're going to see a decline in the way people in general act. He swears up and down. This guy, Gabitus, that's his real name, by the way. So Gabitus, yeah. So Gabitus, that's Professor Gabitus. Really smart guy. And then, but when it was all said and done, he goes, you have 3 years to teach your kid. 3 years, that's it. That's all you get. By then, they're going to learn, like, manners, the consideration and all that, like the core of what they're going to know, like their mold. And then from that point on, it's like fixing things, like fixing bad habits. If they're selfish.
That's interesting.
From
probably from 5 to 8 years old, right?
Yeah, well, he his firm belief from the homeschooling, and just, he was a really smart guy. He goes, you have 3 years as a parent. Those 3 years, you're going to teach that child consideration, manners, like speaking and asking as opposed to demanding and all that. And he goes, after those 3 years, maybe 4, whatever, then it's more a corrective process where, like they have their natural inclinations that they do. Like if you wonder, some kids are like real sweet and real mannered, like, hello, sir, whatever. And some, you can teach them that, but they still don't naturally do it. Well, his whole, belief is that those 3.5 years, we'll say that. So I can't remember the exact quote, but that's what he pretty much was projecting.
Yeah, I never looked at it.
Because that is the core of what's going on. So
3 years, right?
Yeah,
that's crazy. If you break it down.
Yeah, so it's a good thing to take note of. But from the observations that I've made, I'm starting to agree with him more on that, because I see some kids. It's like, they're not all, everyone can be taught manners. Everyone can be taught to do good, but what do they naturally do? Because then what happens is that when they have you're around the people that you hang out with. Okay, so if you have bad habits, but you're around good people, they're going to get you to most likely do good things. But then when you start to relapse, that's why it's relapse, then all of a sudden you might have a knee-jerk reaction. And those are often triggered by your emotions. Like if you are put in a position where you're emotional, then all of a sudden, I'm sorry, I just was my old self for a second, And like your old self is really what you were in those first 3 years.
It comes down to the EQ, right? EQ.
What do you mean?
Like emotional intelligence,
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
Like determines, right? Like your place and your income and just your happiness in life, right? Is your, was it Daniel Goleman, the emotional intelligence book?
I'm not sure. I'm gonna look in that though.
I just did a 4-month course on emotional intelligence and leadership, right?
So what does that explain to me?
Emotional intelligence?
Yeah, just specifically. Cause,
just, being able to connect with others and understand people better, like stuff that robots can't do. And we're going into the AI, artificial intelligence age, right?
So you're really good at that. That's why, so let me get this straight. So I call it discernment. Okay, discernment is whenever
discernment.
Discernment. Yeah, so you're able to see from other people's perception. I think as a gym owner, like this is the whole deal. My job, my hardest part of my job, jiu-jitsu is the easy part. It's actually getting people to be on the same page. And if they're not on the same page, like be considerate to that person's page and let them have their moment. Just be cool. Just coexist. So that's really cool. Thank you. I learned something from that. But that also gives me an idea, because you have a lot of different things going on right now that are very well, and if people aren't aware of it, they're missing out. But I'm really impressed. Like even where we're at right now, it's like this is really cool. So
a little podcast studio.
Yeah, but it doesn't happen without understanding people and understanding
understanding yourself too, right?
Yeah. So
which jiu-jitsu gives you a lot of that, awareness and emotional intelligence as well. You really get to know yourself better. Martial arts does, but we do jiu-jitsu.
Personalities are revealed by jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
That's all there is. So you got someone who's really passive, they're going to be, it's going to be obvious. Someone real aggressive, and then I think as they get better, they have the ability to change, but they still are who they are, and you can kind of
you feel that, you see it.
Yeah. Cool beans. I'm gonna look that up. I'm not gonna go to his seminar though.
What's that?
But I'm not gonna go to his workshop. You said you went to a workshop on it.
It's like a 4-month process. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's like a couple workshops. Yeah.
I'm bad at that. So. It's just
we're busy enough.
with Scotty, it's like, I only got 4 days. It's got to be in 1 day.
For the stem cells.
Yeah. So.
Man, let's go back in time. I'm always I always love hearing stories of how long have you been training jiu-jitsu? You started what year?
Okay, so 94, 95.
94, 95.
Yeah, okay. I'm saying, let's say 94, but realistically, I forgot to even write it down on my calendar because I didn't realize what it was going to be. And I started with, wasn't jiu-jitsu exactly, it was more grappling, the leg game stuff.
Okay.
So
Sambo kind of style stuff?
Yeah, exactly. So.
Okay, cool. And then you were up in Bakersfield or you were down here in LA?
No, Bakersfield. Yeah. So Bakersfield, and at the moment.
How old were you when you did your first class?
I'm 21-ish. Yeah.
21-ish.
Yeah. So 21 is when I, first it started off where I was at. It started off with rolling with people. Like, hey, we're going to go to this guy's backyard and roll around and do this stuff. And
did you watch Royce Gracie in the early UFCs?
Yes. Yeah. I actually was dabbling in martial arts even a little before that. And then it was like, I wanted to be a kickboxer more than anything. And then, and then
kickboxer.
And then judo was the easiest thing. Judo seemed to be something that I was acclimated to because I'd wrestled as a kid.
Okay.
I wrestled for 3 years. So that.
In high school?
Junior. Yeah. I was involved in a cult. I shouldn't say that, but I was involved in a cult that didn't let me do any high school sports, and everything happens for a reason.
Your family was?
Yeah, but my mom was at a sad moment in her life, and she answered the door, and someone really nice helped her out, but then it got a little crazy. I don't want to say names because it's bad, but but they went off the deep end, and before I know it, I was in a suit and tie all the time and walking a straight line and semi-crazy and throwing away all my record collections and not being able to eat sugar or anything like that. No sugar.
That's why you did jiu-jitsu today,
huh? Yeah. One of the most irritating comments I ever tell Jill, I go, hey, and the kids, I go, I never went to a single prom. I never went to a single high school dance. And I say it on purpose just to make, because whenever, now they're all in high school, and hey, you should appreciate that. You know how many dances I went to? And it's so, it was fun the first 10 times I said that, but now we're up to hundreds because it's gone through Kylie, it's gone through Roman now.
We know.
Yeah, so now they're like, we know. Yeah, but during my high school time, I had this like blackout of like no sports. So I just was not, it broke my heart, but it was just part of the game. And but I think it's what's helped me. Did you play high school sports?
I played soccer.
Yeah, so that's
I wrestled when I was a little kid, but then I played soccer.
I guess football was the one that we should be thankful we didn't do, because wrecking your knees. I hear a lot of my high school buddies, they say, well, congratulations, you got your knees still, because a lot of them have knee problems and everything. My hips are what's getting me right now, but your
knees are good?
My knees.
Because usually it's like elbows and knees for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
it's every joint,
man.
But elbows and knees.
My neck gave me a hard time. I got past that. Now it's my hips, but I think it was because I'm narrowing it down to my back, expediting the process of my hips, because in early 2019. Which 2019 was a good year, and I should be thanking you, because in that one of those tournaments you actually stretched out. I remember you stretched it. It was at Irvine. You were stretching and you were doing your Tech Fitness stretch and all that stuff, and it really helped. Like it was like.
Oh, I stretched you out.
Yes.
I stretched you out.
Yeah,
you won that day. You won that day. Guys, I got certified as a fascial stretch therapist. I'm a level like a advanced level guy.
Well, my back was.
It's funny. Everybody that I stretched that day, they won. They got gold.
See, look at you're giving to everybody. It's.
So that's right, because you were laying there. You're like, hey, hold on, let me help you out.
It was so nice, and I remember I was tripping. I was going, damn, my feet stink. And I'm like, gosh. And you were like, yeah, it's a little bit, but it's but you're just a giving guy. I was
focused, yeah,
man. So, but it helped. Funny, I'm glad I didn't forget to bring that.
Was that a world championship or Pans?
I can't. No, I think it was Pans.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Pans, because it was at Irvine. And I remember you associate the rooms with like the warm up areas. So it was Pans. That was a lower. Yeah, so, no, but thank you again. But my back we remodeled our school our main school in 2019, and I was moving wall pads, and it was so funny. I had this idea we were going to do it in a day, not have to close down. Not quite. We ended up making it a team event, but I think I messed my back up there, and they say it's all connected. So my lower back, then I started walking funny, but that was. Now look at we're in 2021, and I would say it just compounded, and not really knowing, because to me I couldn't tell if it was that my back was out, my hips were out, whatever, or just stiff or whatever. So we get to this point now where like it hurts to move, and I don't. It has nothing to do with jiu-jitsu. It has to do with working through an injury and not taking care of it. So I want to be really clear with anybody. Like, you shouldn't. Anything you do for an extended period of time, you're typing, you're going to get carpal tunnel. So, let's be real. But I think jiu-jitsu is something everybody can do. I noticed you have a gentleman there that's 70 years old.
75, yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive. So people need to, I want to tell people when they see me walking around, it's not because of jiu-jitsu. This isn't like other martial arts where you're banged up. You don't have to be this way. I attribute this to ridiculous amounts of jiu-jitsu while you're actually injured and never taking care of the injury, and then now you end up doing that. So
you mentioned tag fit, but I always mention tag fit to everybody because that's the missing piece. It's the yin and the yang. That's what balances everything out. Well, because training is one thing, right? And of course you have all the benefits from that, but nobody ever showed us how to turn off the muscles, to recover, how to do all those things, to optimize like really the proper way, and tag fit teaches you all those things.
So is that the neurological signals that your brain gives your muscle? Is that
as far as what, like your low back pain?
Yeah, because one of the things that you said, turning off the switch. So what I one of the challenges that I'm having is that certain muscles will lock, and then it's like they won't shut down unless I constrict them.
So it's like harder to turn things off than actually on. They say right, yeah. So I was saying turning on and off. Like, so for example, you train, and so we there's agonist, antagonist, muscles. So for example, your bicep and your tricep, and to turn off your bicep, you got to flex your tricep. And so doing those things throughout the body will turn off those muscles. For example, if you squat and then you just go to your car and drive home, like your muscles they're not going to turn off. And that's why you get so sore, because they keep flexing, they keep working. And so turning off those muscles will allow you to recover and not get so sore, and be able to do more, and feel better.
No, that's cool. Yeah.
That's one thing, right? And then, like you were saying, like everything's interconnected, like the hips, the knees, the ankles, they are, I've done all kinds of crazy courses, like dissections and things like that, and it's so true, like you're not using, you do the same movement patterns over and over and over and over, right? So your body adapts to what you do, right? Your body changes to what you do over and over and over and over, but is that the best natural state for you to be in that jiu-jitsu, like in this, I see walking around, and jiu-jitsu people walking around, is that the best, or you need to open yourself up as well? And so pulling yourself in all the different positions allows you to be healthy, and for all the fluids and the nerves, to go through the body and everything to work properly. Because when stuff gets tight, like there's traumas and things like that, injuries, right? Like how do you, like, if you look at fascia, right? Like if you eat an orange, like the white stuff, like around, like inside the skin is the skin of the orange is your skin, and then everything's interconnected, right, with that fascia. And when there's traumas, it clamps up like a vice grip, and so stuff doesn't go through there. Like the liquids don't go through there. The nerves, like they get like pinched, so nothing goes through there. So basically, the joint, for example, it like starves from liquids and just nutrition. And so that's why, like the tag fit, you move all your joints in all the different ways, like your brain, because it's in your brain, right? Like if you to relax that part of the elbow, if you were in an arm bar. And so like, and even let's say criticize like doctors, but like they don't really know, like, because the fascia up to like maybe like 7 years ago, like it was like not important, but now they're finding out like, oh wow, it's everything. Like your immune system goes through there, like inflammation, your nervous system, right? Is that's how everything's interconnected, and the hormones and stuff travel through that, And so it's just moving everything in the right directions. And because of that, your brain's able to relax. Oh, okay, it's safe. It tightens up to protect, right? Mm-hmm. Just like you were saying, like the emotional stuff, you know, beliefs and stuff like that, you ball up, you brace yourself, right? And so same thing in those areas, right? In different parts of the body, the neck, right? There's trauma, like, you get suplex or something, and or whatever, like guillotine, whatever, one of those things. And so, and that's just finding that movement again. And so your brain feels like it's safe, and then it relaxes, and then because of that, stuff starts to go through it again, like the liquids and everything else.
No,
And it's just that awareness, right? It's the awareness, and like TAGFIT really gives you that with, we use the club bells, those bat-looking things, right? And then we do the body flows. Pretty much those two things is what it's based on, and then of course we use all the other tools.
No, it's interesting.
But stress management,
science. Yeah, definitely a science. Right?
It's like talk about learning, like it helps you learn better, makes you smarter.
Mm-hmm. No, that's cool. That's deep.
It's like, like stress is good, but not too much stress, right? Mm-hmm. And so it has the right balance.
Yeah.
Has the right balance.
Well, that's a wealth of information there. So.
Yeah, well, I want to get you involved. I'm going to give you some club bells to play around with, and you're going to see it'll blow your mind.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Well, it's very interesting, and it's not common knowledge. That's what's cool. It's like I think a lot of people are overlooking that.
Well, yeah, so, they didn't have like good business. Yeah, good business things, but it was the guy started doing it like 25 years ago. So it's like a proven system, and I'm an example of that. And everybody that trains in it, like from my right, I see around me that does it. It changes everything. Yeah. Like my friend, my old, he's he tapped out like Jacques Ray's an artist, musician, and he couldn't train. Couldn't train jiu-jitsu anymore. He loves jiu-jitsu because his lower back would hurt him. Like he couldn't walk for a week every time he trained. He started doing some of the flows, some of the TAGFIT stuff, and he was able to train again. He's like, man, I think I can train again. Yeah. Competed, like got back on the mat, was training every week.
That's my optimism right now. So right now, the hip stuff is like a new chapter. Like I think that's a worst. So yeah. I've been faking it for a while, and now it's to the point where like, man. Like if I don't fix it, it's just gonna get to the point where it's bad when you start noticing your family like they're irritated. They're like, "Hey, where's Dad?" And I'm like, "I'm over here, guys. Just keep going. I'll catch up." And they're like, they're just tired of it, So that's when I was like, "Okay, I got to take this serious."
I'll show you some things. We'll spend some time, a couple of minutes after.
It's funny, but they. At Gran Torino, I understand that guy now because.
Man, I want to go back to your year. So you started jiu-jitsu. You did some martial art grappling classes in Bakersfield area, right?
Yeah.
And then how did you end up in your Jean Jacques Machado black belt?
Yeah.
So how did that whole thing work? How did you commit? You were working, you said insurance.
Yeah. I mean, throughout my life, I've had 3 jobs. Like the only time I stopped having 3 jobs was finally when the schools got to the point where like, there's no way I can do this. There's no way I can keep up with this. And I'm not doing a good job for the insurance people that I have. So I just threw in the towel on that. And that kept changing and stuff like that. And I go, I cannot. When you can't do it right, you got to just cut it out, So I let the insurance stuff go. And by then I was already living at the gym pretty much just like nonstop. And, the gyms that we have 2 of them. But they're one place, but there's 2 buildings. So you're familiar with that game. So, I'm bouncing back and forth between them. And it just got to the point where I was like, I want to do the right thing service-wise. And I'm taking care, I'm everywhere at the school, but that one particular side, so that was when I finally never had, 3 jobs. So I started training in Los Angeles for the simple fact that you run out of people. So in the smaller communities, smaller towns, you have at the beginning it was Bay Area, Los Angeles area, and San Diego had a couple things.
Hands Gracie was in New York, right?
Yeah. So in California, you had 3 spots that stood out, and then everyone else was just trying to, do something similar or figure it out. Right. So this is a long time ago.
Yeah. So, Machado's was one of them.
Yeah. I started going to Jean Jacques in, I think it was like early '96. Yeah. I remember he had this like card that, that's why it stands out in my mind because he had this. This is before electronic
business card.
Yeah, that. And then
here's my card.
Yeah. What? You had a.
What's that?
You had a card too. This is the other thing. This is even more funny thing. You had a card that you checked in, and when you showed up, you had to like show them like I'm one of you. Let me in the door. And then Hanato Magdo was the guy that was there primarily on Saturday. So,
okay.
But it was, without going into too many funny details of it, but it was just like very, nothing schools back then were very mom and pop. And that's all there is to it. And when you walk in there, it was like, I mean, you think like, okay, so this is the magical jiu-jitsu stuff going on, and not very many people are doing this. It's almost like stem cell. Right. It's like the secret art of whatever. But it was a small place. It was, I think maybe I want to say the rolling space was probably like two of these. So it wasn't
like 1,200 square feet or something.
Not a lot of square feet, but that's where people met, and that's where that was one of the hubs that you.
There was no website. There was no sign, probably even.
No. I heard Hickson was
all word of mouth.
Yeah, Hickson was on Century Boulevard at the time, but that was a little further.
So you moved to LA from Bakersfield.
No, man, I drove back and forth twice. I drove back and forth twice a week. Got the speeding tickets for it and everything. Yeah, and. But so what I started doing was I started training with whoever I could, anywhere. It could be a hobo, like some guy, it could be my mom. I mean, it was my mom.
But so you had a day job. You had a day job during the week, and then you would come on a Friday or something.
Well, during that time in my life, I was doing the 3 jobs that I was doing for a long time. I was doing. I was working at a restaurant. I was doing bill collecting first.
Okay.
Then retention specialist. Not the guy that breaks legs, but the ones that tries to talk people into paying their bills. You just go, really stupid job. But then again, when you're in your early 20s, you don't know what you're doing. It's anything to get paid for, and legal, of course. So. He was a retention specialist, a nice guy who will just try to talk you into paying your bills or, paying half so that way you could stay in the grace of the company and all that. So I did that, and I worked at a restaurant, then I did janitor accounts, and then, and then finally I dissed the retention job to start doing insurance. So this has nothing interesting for anybody, but what I would say is that, I was really busy, and I would train whoever I can run into. Sometimes it would be in the middle of the night, like there was really funny, tournaments were always in Los Angeles. They were never anywhere else.
Right.
So I would get off work, and then I'd go, cut a couple weight, couple pounds, after work, and then jump, so 2 o'clock. They had at this place called Club Ironworks. Yeah, that was one of the places that was open back in the day, and you can go over there and put yoga mats out and just start rolling, and that was the fun life, and didn't know any, people are spoiled now. I mean, I'm seeing you're running classes 7 days a week, and different nights.
All times, yeah.
Back then, that was non-existent, anywhere. And so what it came down to is that, I would drive 2 days a week to LA, and then just supplement wherever I could, and until I just said, I have this guy in this garage, this guy in this garage, just and eventually all the people that were like-minded, because then we started seeing people pushing towards MMA, not just jiu-jitsu, and some of us were doing more jiu-jitsu and wanting to learn and wanting to study, and it was almost like, okay, this group of people.
Wow, so you've been driving from Bakersfield, since the beginning.
Yeah,
pretty much of your jiu-jitsu.
Through just like the post office, through the rain, through the snow, through all that. But no, actually,
Bakersfield is an hour and a half.
Bakersfield's an hour and a half from the valley. From the valley. And traffic is always the undetermining factor. It's pretty easy to get to where Burbank, where you're at here. So I would say this, but once you get past that 10, everyone it's like, okay, just tack another hour onto this whole deal. So it was a 2-day-a-week trip for 20 years, and then right around
for 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. So 2015 is when we just kind of it got to the point where like I need to be, I just have a lot of places to be, and I just can't. It's not going to be LA anymore. It's going to just be. So now.
In 2015.
2015 is when TRUJITSU kicked off. Yeah. So
okay.
I was like, okay. So now I don't drive to LA's twice I guess maybe I do still, but for different reasons. Not just for training, because training's not the issue anymore.
We still see each other for these events, Women's SoCal and Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not because you have to, right?
No, now I'm fortunate. I have I have a really solid group of training partners always, and they're I don't like to call them kids, but they're kind of people that they're siblings, they're brothers, they're family. But a lot of them, they're younger, and I'm like, man, I remember like when you put your belt on, you feel that way about them. But I almost want to tell them it's not that I'm disrespecting them. It was just
I'm that old.
Yeah. Then again, just to put it like it is, I'm very thankful for them, and it's a different time.
The way you care about them too, right? Like your kids.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's they are.
It is what it is, you know.
They are extended family.
Yeah.
That's it. So they're family, and anybody who's in this game like you and I, there's no other way to look at it. It's just whether you want to feel that way, you will feel that way.
Yeah.
So what? Let's flip the coin. So what's going on next in your creative life? Because you always have cool things you're working on. So I'm curious, man.
We're gonna expand we have the tack fit room, you know. So we're gonna expand. We're gonna take over another space, you know, and we're gonna have a recovery center in the front.
Man.
So you know that stretching stuff it's called Stretch to Win, actually. Good name, right? So I did the Stretch to Win for you for the pans, and then you won, right? I stretched you, and then you won. And everybody that I stretched that day, you know.
No, I mean,
but I'm gonna do that in the front because I believe in it, you know. Of course, massage is great too, but like it's nice because you can have your clothes on, you can do it, you know, and it's really great, you know. I think for jiu-jitsu, but it's just a great system. So I want to do that and some other recovery things like those compression boots and those kinds of things. So I want to have a place like that. It's been something that I've wanted for a long time. So we're gonna make it happen right now.
You're constantly studying. Like that's one thing I've caught on. It's like you're always reaching for more knowledge. Like you're not resting on what you already have accomplished, which is a lot, but you're actually like digging deeper into this whole game, which is cool.
Yeah,
it's inspiring.
It's helping me understand jiu-jitsu better. You know, I mean, I was humbled, right? I was in 2012. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Now I found out about that. I vaguely you've been. I don't know. I didn't hear you didn't make a big deal about it. Like you.
Yeah, I didn't talk about it. I started coming out when TACFIT kind of gave me my life back and gave me just gave me my abilities and stuff back.
Yeah, you hit it well. I saw one post and that was it. And it might have been. I mean, let's just be real. I have these reading glasses on, so sometimes I don't.
Who knows with all the algorithms and everything, right?
What I tell people, that's the thing. What I tell people is like, hey, don't get offended. And I'm gonna make this statement for everybody that's in their 40s. Like, you know, everyone's all into texting and stuff like that. Why didn't you respond to my text? And I go, well, I got 2 cell phone tickets. It's difficult to do this while I'm driving, and I need my reading glasses sometimes. I don't know how. When you're 40, you just pick, something is going to go.
You gotta get those stem cells from Scotty.
Exactly.
To improve your vision like I did.
You know what? If that's gonna help.
They improved. They did the testing, you know.
Scotty? Yeah. Beam me up, Scotty. So no, I'm going to hit that guy up because apparently he is the guy. Yeah. So he seems
they're doing big things, you know.
Yeah. And just
that, and then just continuing to do what I love and spread jiu-jitsu and TACFIT and those things. You know, that's my heart. That's my soul. I believe in both of them. Of course, jiu-jitsu is made me who I am. You know, it gave me the tools for my life, the character traits. But jiu-jitsu is really, TACFIT's really completed that for me. Well, it's given me the yin and the yang and the balance, and I want to spread that to all my friends, all my jiu-jitsu friends, because I love jiu-jitsu. But of course, everybody around as well, like my family, people that don't do jiu-jitsu, you know, because it can help improve their lives and help them live their best lives.
Well, that explains why everything you do works. So yeah, you got
from the heart, right? So from the heart, and it's to help people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
people feel that, I think, when I talk to them. It's from a good place, you know, that I want to help them.
You keep it very real. It seems genuine. So yeah, it doesn't.
Even if they don't like it, but they're like, oh, man, all right.
You seem very sincere. So, and that's commendable. So
thank you.
Not everybody does, but I would say you're one of the few that.
And so do you. So.
I try. I'm kind of a goofball, but yeah.
So let's go back to you. Let's go back to you. Flip it back to you. All right. So you were driving back and forth.
Yeah.
And then 2015, you decided, like, man, it's too much driving. I need to stay put, or I don't need, you know, when did you get your black belt?
Okay. I got my black belt in 2007.
2007.
Yeah,
okay. So you drove for another 8 years.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, man, I got to be really careful about let's just put it this way. I think, jiu-jitsu I've seen go through different stages and in the business side of it.
Right.
And
no, you made a nice post, like, like with the jiu-jitsu, because you're Jean Jacques, you're proud, like you're a very like loyal guy, so.
Well, see, here's the deal. I think when you grow up, when you get older, you end up having to move away. I don't know, it depends on what culture you're in, but a lot of times, do you still live with your mom and dad?
Right. Yeah, of course not. Yeah.
Okay, because that's kind of what I'm doing. It's like, but what I also want to point out is I think during this, the business side of jiu-jitsu in the 90s, in the 2000s, 2001, it's been interesting. It's like I've seen it change to where, at one time, and it's natural. It's just the way the humans work.
Right.
At one time, it was like really, frowned upon to ever talk to anybody from another place, whatever. Now it's not quite like that. And then I think on the business side, it's like it was kind of frowned upon that there might be some reaching out, not reaching out, but like I feel like I got to a point where I had to move away and do my own thing, or else it was a conflict. And that was kind of, there wasn't really an official, I got to be careful saying this because I think some people get mad at me, but it didn't feel like what I was having to do was really in harmony with, it was disrupting their house. So, and I don't know if you ever had that feeling with your journey, but as much as I cared about a lot of people and wanted to do well, it was like, hey, I have kids now that they're wanting to do something, and their wanting to do something isn't in line with what you're. So I was I was between a rock and a hard place, and I was like, okay, so I think this is where I just have to call it the shot on this, and still be caring and speak well as much as possible, but at the same time also take care of other people that are now asking for me to help them.
Yeah.
And I but the funny thing is now it's changed though. Now I see associations with, with like this is also our association, like, but at the time it was really like uncharted territory. Yeah. They were like, no, I don't know. How are we going to do this? What are we going to do? And it's interesting what it'll be 10 years from now, but it was almost, it felt like the birth of Jiu-Jitsu was like unavoidable, but at the same time not appreciated. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to ruffle any. I don't want to be the bad person at the family reunion. I don't want people to, I don't want to walk in a room and everyone's, and then all of a sudden it gets quiet. I'm like, hey, I care. I've done everything I can for 20 years. I never, I graduated in 2007, but I had no intention. It just got to a point where like, okay, I don't think this is really welcomed, and I don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. So that's all good. The light way of saying
you're a class act, man. I think everybody can see that.
I don't think there's a way to make everyone happy in this world.
Of course, you can't.
You can't. But and I think some people might have been, and what even it sometimes is bad when you take the high. I don't want to call it the high road, but you take the quiet road. You're like, let's not even talk about it. Why? Yeah. Because it doesn't involve you. Just be cool with everybody.
Yeah.
And then some people can kind of like, and because they're humans, they're like, oh, I wonder what happened between those two. And people eat. I think people want to add stuff because they want things to be more than they really are.
Don't even give it energy.
Zero.
Do what you got to do to support the people close to you, and of course always honor, give back and support the people that have supported you, right?
The world is interesting, but you have to take.
But you can't make everybody happy.
No, you will die trying. You will die trying, and
it won't happen.
One of the greatest words that I heard from one of my guys, he was like, because he sat there, he goes, "You're stressing over a lot of stuff," and I go, "Man, I can't. I don't know what to do." And he goes, "Well, this is a deal." And you go, "How do I make everybody happy?" And he goes, "You can't. Can I tell you this? You can't always be happy, but you can always be fair. So what really is fair? What's really fair to, you have this whole road that you're dealing with." And he's smart. He's a smart guy. And I thought, well, I'm going to say you said so. And I'm going to ride on that. And I didn't say that, but I factored that in because when it comes right down to it, you want to, if you're really doing something genuine and fair, I think when it's all said and done, everyone's going to understand, like, I get what was going on now.
Treat people like you want to be treated, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So
so you've been around training jiu-jitsu since 94. So that's 20, 26, 27 years, something like that, right?
Well, that's funny.
What are you grateful for? Let's switch it up. What are you grateful for?
I am grateful that I didn't try to be a kickboxer. I caught on. And all these other people that, I'm sorry.
You don't like the Van Damme movies?
I loved them. I had a mullet. Okay.
You had a mullet?
I had a mullet. So that's the deal. It's like I went in there wanting to be a kickboxer, and I was so fascinated by that. But what I didn't realize is what we call reality, and I think in the 70s, you saw the Kung Fu era, right. And, people don't realize sound effects were used in movies, so the guy wasn't that fast, and they got fascinated. I remember those Bruce Lee shoes and that, know, and I had some buddies that were wearing Bruce Lee shoes, and why? Because I want to be like Bruce Lee. And Bruce Lee, then Van Damme, there's been influential people, but the reality is what really happens when they're really doing, in jiu-jitsu. I'm so glad that I wasn't stubborn and I actually embraced this wonderful sport because it has opened up so many doors. Insurance, my first insurance contract was because of jiu-jitsu. I was talking to a guy, and his name was Chuck Baker. He ran this healthcare company, and I was hand sweaty and all this nervous talking to him, and he's like shaking his head up and down. Where'd you get your ears from? He wouldn't listen to a single thing I said. He was just fascinated by my ears. He was a wrestling fan. And I go, well, yeah, thanks. You have any questions? And I do jiu-jitsu. And then that started it. And he just, and a couple of people that work with him didn't want to give me a shot at all on their account. They were like, this guy's new. You can tell he's brand new. And he goes, we need to give him a shot. I like this guy. I like, blah, blah, blah. And so jiu-jitsu opened the door. And what I know for a fact is jiu-jitsu is not just a martial art. People want to say it, but it changes your personality. I mean, we all have our natural thing that we talked about earlier, the 3 years, but it makes the best out of you. So they say, certain things, they amplify your great characteristics. I think whatever a person is, they will always be a better version of themselves from jiu-jitsu. And I've seen some 100%. Knuckleheads become decent people. I know people that struggle with certain things. Jiu-jitsu has been the pacifier that stopped them. So I'm very thankful for that. And, when it comes to all these different martial arts that are attribute, if you're striking, length and, reach makes a difference. Jiu-jitsu, there's some security jobs that I've had that I didn't talk about too, but it was very interesting. But like jiu-jitsu, I was able to get those jobs because of jiu-jitsu. Yeah. I worked at this restaurant, Crystal Palace, and it was up in Buck Owens' place, that. But they specifically hired me because I was small, but I knew jiu-jitsu. They said, you're small. They made the mistake of hiring a bunch of people that were like 6'5", 6'10", whatever. Didn't know anything. And they intimidated everybody. And then all of a sudden, they yelled at, Buck Owens got mad, and he yelled at the owner. And he's a people who don't know him, he's like a famous country guy, or was. Yeah. But they were like, you know what are you doing? You're going to scare people away. So they hired me. I'm a little runt because I could actually do something, but I was small. And it was very, so jiu-jitsu, there's too many things to be thankful for. I mean, it is a fountain of youth. Still take care of your health though. Like that's my next chapter.
It's giving you everything.
Right? Yeah. There's my life is an entirely blessed life. This world, it's a roller coaster. Everything's a roller coaster, but jiu-jitsu has made so many improvements that anybody who, if anyone's listening or on the fence, or here's the deal, let me say this. If you have a family member that's training and they're trying to get you to train, maybe the words that I'm saying right now, just jump on the bandwagon with them. You're obviously not going to be the only person in the room. The first day is always the worst day, but you learn fast. And not only is it good for your body, but it makes you a smarter person. Yeah. It makes your critical thinking. Because in the end, you're playing a video game. Jiu-jitsu is like a video game with your body. Yeah. Instead of controls, I'm going to move my left arm to see if he goes after it so I can get him off balance with my right arm. I'm going to push right here so that way he moves his head back and I can pick up, the weight on his left leg because he's not as heavy. So there's a science to all this stuff. And I think that the further you go into this, you realize that there's no limitations for jiu-jitsu. There's the technical things that you learn at the beginning, but then there's the exaggeration, the cliche chess, it's about jiu-jitsu being chess. Yeah, that's very true. But also factor in that when you get better at chess, you can make decisions quicker. And I try to, this could go into a whole jiu-jitsu conversation about So, you know, you have some people that they find success by moving fast, you know, and then there's other people who find success by moving slow. And that's the tempo stuff. It's like there are so many different, you know, variables in this game that there is no end to it. And if the person's, you know, big and strong, if you dig far enough into the sport, you start to realize that it isn't, you know, there's still a way to get this done. I just have to do it a little bit different than what most people would tell me to do. So anyways, that's the jiu-jitsu side of it. So I'm thankful for learning all of that, because I don't know any other sport that's taught every single aspect like that. So
it's awesome.
Yeah.
And your wife's you give her a black belt. How's that?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
earned a black belt under you.
You know, when we're doing it right,
so it's so cool.
Them, you know, like,
what's that?
Yeah. You know, I try to tell people, because, you know, the black belt.
That's just a great story, you know?
Yeah.
She's a school teacher as well, right?
School teacher, yeah. And to me, it's like, that's an interesting thing. School teachers have the ability to go really far in jiu-jitsu because of because there's a mental side of it that's far beyond the, you know, the physical side. So, you know, at first, I remember her first gi, she had a lavender gi, and it was purple and silver. And it's the era, you know, girls when they train, they had, you know, now it's not, now you walk in, I don't see her, I don't think I saw one pink or feminine type gi. They're all, like, they look normal, you know, and that's cool. But, yeah, so her reason for training, though, I'll say this, because I was at the school all the time, and she says, man, and when she was there, you know, I was going to LA, and I go, hey, I think I'm going to open up a place here so I can have something to train. And I think she thought that meant I wouldn't go to LA anymore. It was a joke. So I go, yeah, I don't know. But she goes, yeah, do it, babe. Do it. You know, she was behind me. But when it happened, I gave it like 2-3 weeks, and I wasn't home during the nights. And she was like, yeah, I would have never supported you on this, blah, blah, blah. She was like kind of like upset a little bit. Yeah. Not upset. I'm making her sound bad. But it was like not probably what she thought. So then she started showing up, because that would be the time for us, you know, to hang out, you know, and it was just evenings too. But I mean, it was probably different than the way that she probably brought up, you know, with her parents eating the dinner at the table and all that. Yeah. So it was a bit of an adjustment, and I was like, okay. And I saw, you know, so I think there was a miscommunication in that whole venture at the beginning, but it was easily fixed. The answer was just start training. Now, if you look at things now, it's kind of funny. I would have, you know, we would have never saw this at the beginning. She probably would have started earlier, but now she's, you know, she's her own person as far as this. I mean, she's doing amazing things with jiu-jitsu. She's got an amazing group of girls. Like, you know, like I want to say, you know, I mean, I was trying to teach a women's program. And that was one of the things, like, okay, so we'll have a women's class for you guys that, you know, your girlfriends want to train or whatever. And then, you know, you're welcome to, you know, watch and all that stuff. And it's not like, you know, we didn't have a big place, but I could never get that program to go 7-8 girls. That's as far, and it would just like, it fizzled. There's something to be said about a dedicated female teaching other females. And like now, like Jill runs an amazing program. What I'm simply getting at is that she doesn't even need me around. Like if I kick the bucket, she'll be fine. They'll actually probably do better now. So the
you guys are a team, right?
Yeah, we're a team. Yeah, but the tide has turned, and I really think, you know, can you imagine, Jill, like at the very beginning you hated this because I was gone all the time, but little did you know that you were actually meant to do this. And now it's like, you know,
all your kids train.
Yeah, the whole family should be training, and that's the thing that I try to express to people. It's like when it comes to activities, there's bowling, there's golf, and there's jiu-jitsu, and none of them offer what jiu-jitsu is. Yeah, you all can do that as a family, but I'm telling you the overall benefits of jiu-jitsu. By a long shot, you know, nothing compares to it, you know. So, you know, my family, I would hope people, you know, if they ever doubt that, they just take a look at where things have gone for us. And it was not part of the plan. That's, you know, and
it was meant to be.
Yeah, it's not even us. It's just jiu-jitsu. Like, in other words, like, hey, so are you an exceptional family? No, we're kind of a bunch of goofballs, but Jill's smart. But no, it's just jiu-jitsu has a way of making things great. So there you go. That's the most sincere answer I can say. So
Well, congratulations, man, on
Thank you.
on everything you've created with this jiu-jitsu journey, and it's you're an amazing guy and family, like, all the you can feel it, when somebody meets you.
You're nice. Yeah. The energy is yours. Yeah. No.
And we've always got along at the, we see each other tournaments and hang out, or events, right? We see each other, and yeah, you're one of the. Everybody's good, but I always really connect with you. So I appreciate your friendship and who you are as a person.
Very mutual. Thank you for that, and thank you for always being cool and always being helpful with just, you can I can always appreciate your input and your knowledge. You've always studied and been hip on stuff. So
thank you, man. Thank you. How can people find you?
Matt Baker TRUJITSU. Yeah. So it's Matt Baker BJJ/TRUJITSU is the Instagram stuff that I'm starting to post more stuff on there. So that's one way. And TRUJITSU Bakersfield. Yeah, those are the two most active sites. I made a mistake of opening up a couple of accounts and we phased them out. So I don't know if you've made that mistake too.
Yeah, it's too much work, right?
Yeah, I can't keep up with it. But
keep it simple.
But I have help on one of them that we put information out that's pertinent to what's going on in TRUJITSU. Our affiliate stuff is TRUJITSU Revolution, but long story short, I think we post more on my account than that. So I don't know, but that's awesome, the Insta world, and that seems like where a lot of people are chiming in on more than anything. So there you go.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you, man.
Hey, thank you. It's been a joy and a privilege talking to you. So, and yeah, thank you for being awesome.
Thank you.